Right,
Good deal.
let's talk about how technically gifted we are.
Well, hey, look, you know what? Discord gets complicated, so sometimes it takes a minute. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Sometimes it takes a minute.
we set
Um,
up a Discord about a month ago, so we're pretty new to all this.
this took me a long time to get. It took me a long time to figure out Discord too, so I get it. Right? It's all good. No problem. So I wanted to bring you guys in so you could talk about what you do. There's a lot. So last bull run, I had a lot of people. Yeah, we kind of talk about it all the time, but the world of bot trading, people have very little understanding of. And I tried explaining to people for years now that a vast majority of the trades you see are bot trades. And this has been going on since the 60s, 70s, 80s. It's just gotten really prevalent, especially in the bear market. Everyone learned how much money you can lose by just holding on to everything. And, we kind of tried to preach to everyone, hey, where there's bot trading, you can just do both. And I did a little bit of your guys' stuff in the bull market last time. I admittedly pushed it way too far, which you guys can kind of talk about. I personally changed a bunch of settings, pumped the numbers real high up just to see what I could do. And it absolutely did great for a couple weeks. And then I personally ruined it. So I learned a valuable lesson then, right? But I wanted you guys to come on and kind of talk about it, explain what you've got, how it works, et cetera, what you guys do exactly. I already knew about you guys, but some of the other people in here may not have.
Yeah, no worries. So, there's two of us here. So I'm Nick, and this is Christian.
Hello.
So we founded Block Party Trading in 2020, start of COVID. I think like a lot of people were working from home. We've been crypto trading for, I think, about 2.5 years at that point. And our interest had kind of been in just trading competitively with each other. And with the time that we had with crypto, with COVID, Christian got heavily into developing his own indicators. And then once we had indicators, we obviously used 3 commas to start automating our trades and using DCA bots. And they had a marketplace on there. We had a lot of time on our hands, and we just kind of went from there. Our focus is really been automated trading. And obviously, like you said, during the bull run, DCA bots are incredible. It's just, they're literally money printing machines, especially when you're using a really volatile, asset class like cryptocurrencies. You can profit from those huge swings so easily. And so I think most people probably did exactly what you did, which was push it really hard and profit from that fact. What we did was as the bear market hit, we've been really adjusting our offering. We offered a lot more high liquid kind of trading services, so stop loss, copy trading type things. We've got hybrid services. We've got systems on 3 commas, Mizar, Annie, Zignali, but what we've really been focusing on in 2023 is selling strategies. So giving people access, rather than giving people access to copy our trades and to use our trading bots, we've been giving access to the strategy that underpins those things. So people can do it themselves, because what we found was, just like you kind of mentioned, individuals have different risk appetites. When we put something out to the general public, we have to kind of gauge it on what's best for the average investor. And obviously you get people who have more skill, and they want to trade it in a different way, and they want to adjust it. And so by giving access to the actual raw strategies, which is kind of where we're moving our business towards, we can show people what we do, but also let them tailor things to their own needs.
Yeah, just to follow on from Nick there. Don't know if you can hear me okay, but
We got you loud and clear.
Wonderful. So just to follow on from Nick there, it's just like the one thing which we learned over the bear market, and with all said and done, as you mentioned there, Keith, like people have been bot trading since like the 60s, 70s in some capacity. We've been doing it realistically for 3-ish years, kind of in a retail perspective. Granted, we do have a lot of technology on our side, which is great for like kind of back testing and finding out results quick. But, to echo what Nick said, one thing which is very hard to take into consideration really is what the end user really wants, and kind of like what they want. And I guess where I'm going with this is that people look at DCA bots, I guess, in just kind of a one unison kind of thing. So DCA bots are DCA bots, whereas they're actually not. They're kind of an entire ecosystem in themselves, in that you can use DCA bots in kind of like almost a hedge fund concept, which is just buy until you die, and you just keep on adding to your positions. You can use them in a kind of almost like a grid bot format, which is really super aggressive, highly dangerous, and
But profitable.
but very profitable. Yeah. And then you can use them in a more kind of kind of a get out of jail free capacity. So if you're pretty confident, let's say, in a swing trade, but yet you're in a bit of a turbulent market. Let's say use now, for example, with all of the SEC stuff going on, and you kind of want to do a long, but you're a little bit unsure about it, but you are confident long term, then that's a fantastic opportunity to use or activate a DCA structure or a DCA bot for it. I mean, at the end of the day, DCA bots are 50% signals, sure. Like, it does help to have a great entry point, but the other 50% of it truly is user risk management. Because if you have fantastic risk management with a DCA bot, you can literally never lose a trade again. But it does take a lot of experience in that respect, which is hard to pass on.
So, real quick for people who don't know what a DCA bot is, that's dollar cost average bot. Essentially, the trade takes or the bot takes a trade. It looks for a certain take profit level. If it does not hit that take profit level and the price goes down, it adds to the position a certain number of times until that max number of times hits. And that brings the cost down of where the line is that you bought. So let's say you bought it $1, the profit line was $1.15. It never quite gets there. It goes down to 98 cents, 95 cents, 90 cents. Let's say there was 3 particular DCAs on this buy at 90 cents. That's the last buy. Now your average is what, 95 cents? When it gets up to that next level, now the take profit has moved down as well. Now that you've added more and the prices come lower, you can add more to it. The take profits level is now lower. So when you hit that take profit level, it jumps out of that trade and it starts all over again. This works very well when you're in an uptrend like we had from 2020 till 2022. Right? You had lots of uptrends, and the little downs that you got would quickly get wiped away by ups. The thing was 2022 came, the beginning of 2022. It was all down. So the only thing about a DCA bot at that point is once it hits its max number of buys, it's stuck. Yeah. So like he's saying, you can use it as a hedge where you already know what you want to do. You want to buy this and you want to continue doing this for the next 30 years, whatever. This thing can automatically do that for you. Or when you have volatile assets, like they're going to talk about more here, this thing will aggressively buy and sell and continue to try to take profits along the way.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, there are ways in an uptrend. I think a DCA strategy is really unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think we can some of the figures we were producing month on month through late 21 and 22 were ridiculous. In the downtrends, there are ways to profit using DCA bots, but like Christian said, you've got to be really focused on your risk management. And so, for example, you're better off, if you know that we're in a downtrend, you're better off focusing on assets that have long-term viability, because the way it works in a downtrend, what the benefit of a DCA strategy is in a downtrend is that as you're accumulating, say, Bitcoin, as it's, every time it drops 10% in value, you're going to accumulate twice as much, right? So we know long-term that Bitcoin's going to return to those all-time highs that we saw in late 2022. And when it does, you've accumulated so much more because the DCA bot is effectively buying the dip for you. It just your profit time horizon just changes. During during an uptrend, you're closing deals, every 30 minutes. In a downtrend, you might be holding onto that position for months, 6 months, 7 months, but because you've accumulated more during that period, you can adjust the take profit, set it higher, and you can profit more. So you can offset the time that you've kind of spent in the position with bigger profits. But it takes that kind of user management to really kind of maximize the efficiency of the strategy.
So I think what a lot of people would want to know is one of the things people think about bots is I want to set it and I don't want to have to look at it. I want to set it. I want to turn it on. I don't want to touch it. I want to watch it go. And I want it to make me X amount of money every month, whatever that number is. I want it to make me X amount a month. And if it makes it, great. And if it doesn't, I'll be a little disappointed, but I won't be heartbroken as long as it makes, 1%. Would you say you guys have a strategy that works something like that, especially for when we're in an uptrend?
Well, interesting you should say that, to be honest. Like, it's something that we've been working towards. And the 2022, never-ending crash was just It was very eye-opening for us, to be honest, because it kind of because we invest in all of our products, and I think it's a one of those things that we definitely want to be very, very transparent about is all of our products that we run and have retail availability. We all have, live capital in that. So we are invested in making these things work and making them as profitable and as efficient as possible. And it's kind of one thing that we got to learn over 2022 with speaking to some of our hedge fund clients and stuff was the managing of expectations was much, much lower than we first thought. Because when we first kind of drove into this whole DCA world, we were kind of pulling about 30-40% a month. So we kind of recognized that as a bit of a normality. And we thought we were kind of, this was what the expectations were. And to be fair, we were getting hundreds of people coming to us with these expectations. And it was a normal month to do 30%. However, when things, reality took check, we realized that actually, 5%. 10% is a fantastic month in any kind of like trading vehicle. So it got us kind of like re-looking at our structures and our approaches to everything. And so a very long way to answer your question there is that yes, we absolutely do. And we've actually just launched it on Mizar. And wait for it, it's got a very, very very catchy name here. It's called Block Party Trading DCA. And basically what this is, it's kind of using like our actual hedge fund model that we do for them, but it's got a few kind of cool tweaks in there. So to run you through the logic of it, it's triggered by only our premium signals. So all the signals that will go into it are actually kind of trader orientated. So this is super important for DCA because when you see a lot of DCA bots out there, they 9 times out of 10 are triggered by automated algorithms, and automated algorithms generally won't have a frequency filter. And this basically means that during a cycle or wave, a dip, a peak, or whatever triggers this automated algorithm, then you'll have a flood of signals coming in. So that means that at 12 o'clock on a Friday, let's say, then your entire kind of board will be filled with trades. So those entire trades are all subject to the same risk that Bitcoin will face. As we all know, when Bitcoin dumps, the market dumps. As romantic as we can be about it decoupling, we're not quite there yet. So that means that all those trades have the exact same risk. So you may as well just be taking one big trade because they're all going to be subject to the same dump. So what we are looking at more and more now is that frequency filter. We may have like 10 amazing opportunities at Friday on 12. We won't take them though. We'll only take one trade at a time and stagger them as much as possible because that's when DCA comes into its own. And we've also looked at the actual kind of DCA structure thereafter. And these bots can now handle, or this bot can now handle down to 80%. I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but we all thought that was ridiculous at the end of 2021 kind of thing when we pushed into this horrible 2022. And the way that the structures work, we've always been quite used to using a very light martingale volume multiplier, which, long story short, is how much more money you're going to spend on that next trade.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now being a lot more aggressive. Before, we were very kind of like a 1.5x multiplier. Now we're at a 2x. So we are cutting those steps in half.
Okay.
And just further that as well is like we can actually manually trigger a safety order, which is pretty cool. So it's one of the cool features that Mizar has. So the traditional sense is that if it drops 20%, we buy. If it drops another 20%, we buy. But with this one, we actually have dynamic DCA structures. So when we get a good signal or when we get kind of a significant, like a pi cycle cross kind of thing's a really good one for us, even though we've seen it about twice in the history of Bitcoin. But we saw one the other week, actually. Yeah. But when we kind of see things like that, significant dips, then we will trigger a buy. And it's cool because then we have this structure of a fixed structure behind us. So if we see those real like monster wicks pop down and we might fill 2 DCAs and get out the trade in a day, it can happen. But we can also kind of action our own trades as well. If we start to see the market shifting upwards, and inversely, you don't just have to buy in the dip, you can buy in the breakout as well. So we've got a much kind of more focused, managed system going on now. And this is all kind of driven by our own personal trades. So it's just making everything a little bit easier to do.
Yeah, so it's effectively a hybrid system. So it's the automation and the kind of ruthless efficiency of the bot in terms of taking the entries, with the personal risk management and open trade management of the traders. So that it's kind of because we're not taking those huge risks and piling into positions. The returns in a uptrend might be slightly less, but it means that you don't have that exposure to those hanging deals. It gives you that security, keeps you liquid in the market. So we think that's our best strategy, and it's really consistent.
So I got a couple questions real quick. First, I want to explain what a martingale strategy is for people who are on here who don't know what that is. So if you've ever been to Vegas and you've lost, the first thing you want to do is you want to double down and make your money right back, right? And that almost never works in Vegas. That's a sucker bet, right? So what a martingale strategy is the odds are you will not lose 20 times in a row. The odds are at some point in there you will win. As long as you have enough funds, you can continue to, in a style of martingale, is double your bet and then double your bet. So $1, $2, $4, $8, $16, $32. You continue to double over and over and over again until you finally win, right? And then once you do, you've made profit all the way back, plus got all your money back. That works. And what he's saying here is their martingale strategy is like a 1.5x style. So at a certain point on a drawdown or a pull down, a wick, a candle, whatever you want to call it, and that will trigger a buy order, which is 1.5 times bigger than the original order, which dollar cost averages and martingales at the same time brings your number down and is a slightly bigger number than it was before. That's one of the strategies that he's mentioning. And the next thing I wanted to ask was, Terry over here asked a good question. Will the bots DCA in an uptrend, or will they only take profits in an uptrend? Like if it sees an order, let's say what he's trying to get at here, if the profit line is like 5%, but we know we have an uptrend and we're going to make 500% over the next 4 months. Will it start taking profits at 5%, or will it continue to add to a trade?
So it'll only DCA if there are dips to trigger
Gotcha.
the price. So if we open a position and it goes straight to 5%, then you'll just take the 5% profit from that initial buy. The users, when you get one of these strategies, whether it's on Mizar or 3Commas, you can adjust. It'll show you all your open positions and you can edit them individually. So if you're looking at the technical analysis and you can say that, I think Bitcoin's going to go 22% on this move, you can adjust the take profits to, the next support resistance.
Okay, let me stop you there. I made a video already with you guys on Mizar, how to set one up and whatnot. So if I were to go into there and let's say I opened a trade, that'll pop up and I can see that trade. I remember doing that. I monitored that very closely while I was running them, by the way, and they worked. But what you're saying there is as the trades are open, let's say that whatever you guys set the take profit level at per trade, maybe let's call it 5%. I can go in there and change that to what number I want to, or is there a max number that I can set it to?
Whatever number you want to. I think there may be a max in that it might be like 999%. So it might cap out based on the limitation of the entry system, but
I got you.
You can set it however you want. On the hedge fund strategy, the one that we were talking about, that's the hybrid, just as we can trigger the safety orders manually, so we'll be sitting there monitoring these positions going, do you know what, we're going to DCA this. We can also adjust the take profits. So we'll actually be looking, once we open a position on that bot, we'll be looking at the chart. We'll be looking for where the resistance lines are, if there's a downtrend, if there's something, so we'll adjust the take profits for you. You can then change it as well, but we'll be actively managing those open positions. Again, getting that kind of best synergy between a bot and the user.
Okay, so you have one strategy in particular that's a hedge fund style. Is that available for other people?
So, sorry, could you repeat that? Sorry.
You said you had like a hedge fund style setup that you could do. Is that available for everyone, or is that just a select thing that you guys do?
Yeah, that's available on Mizar specifically.
Okay.
It's called Block Party Trading DCA.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it's built off a strategy we developed for a hedge fund that are based over here in Ibiza that we work with. So.
Okay.
I've just sent you a link over to it, which goes straight to the strategy if you want to check it out. So it's relatively recent, but it's probably all right month so far.
I think that's actually the one I made a video on, Bot Party. I think that's the same one.
Yeah.
I have to go back and look. I make a lot of videos. I'm sorry. Let me look here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the one. That's the one I used before. Cool. So that's a really neat thing that I'm glad we brought up. So I often tell these guys, I'm a trend guy. I'm not gonna risk a bunch of money in a downtrend. I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna be more careful. I'm gonna risk it more in an uptrend because there's more room to play. So this works out perfectly for that because, for those guys who want to make those big gains, you could potentially take part of your money and continue to buy what you think will do really well. And you could also take part of your money and put it in a system like this. It's going to run in an uptrend, constantly take profits every time it hits a set level, or whatever that level you set it at would be. And every time we have a bit of a downward move in an uptrend, it's going to buy a little more and buy a little more and buy a little more, which is really neat. A question on that: how much capital do you recommend for these strategies per?
So realistically, there's no you can adjust the buy order and the amounts that you're going to invest into each deal, so you can make that completely individual, right?
Okay.
Generally, though, the way it works is you're going to set an amount of money per trade, so that'll make up the initial buy order plus then the money reserved for the safety orders. And then you're going to set the maximum number of positions. So you're basically going to say to the bot, you can take 10 deals in total, right? And it'll open deals until there are 10 open, and then it'll stop.
Gotcha.
So there are minimums, though. So effectively, you're going to have, the way it works is you get a maximum investment amount, which is if every single one of your deals that's open hit every single safety order, how much is that going to cost you? And based on, say, like a $15 initial buy order with 5 available positions, then your maximum investment is $825. Now, I would say that's pretty much the minimum that you could run it with. The flip side to that is, though, if you set it up on exactly those parameters, right? So if you say my buy order is going to be $15 and I'm going to have 5 positions open at any one time, then because you're not going to hit every single safety order, you could actually run that effectively with as little as $230.
Right. So you could go as little as $230, but effectively the max would be around $850. So anywhere in there would quote unquote work.
Yeah, and then from that, if you've got $100,000, if you've got 2 million, if you've got 20 million, you can just scale up. So you just increase the number of deals or the amount that you invest per deal to suit your budget. And Mizar, if you're using that platform, that does a really nice job of kind of calculating that for you. We've got a Discord server with a Mizar group where you can kind of go and just, if you've got questions about it, we can just jump straight on there and just talk anybody through it.
Well, that's cool because I've spoken to the Mizar people as well. I did a video with the Mizar people as well, and they've been very helpful. They actually took a recommendation that I had and made a change to it, which I thought was amazing. That rarely happens when I say something and then people actually do it. Blew my mind, right? Every once in a while that happens. So, what exchanges can you use to use the strategies that you guys have?
So they're multi-exchange. So I'm guessing the majority of your guys are in the States.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, so they'll work with Binance US. They'll work with Coinbase Advanced, I think it is now. Yeah, we're just getting the list up.
And these are the ones available on Mizar?
Yeah, so okay. This is on Mizar. So you got Coinbase Pro, Coinbase Advanced, KuCoin, Binance US, OKX, MEXC. I don't know if you guys are aware of that exchange. Yep. 0% fees on there at the moment. So we're
That's cool.
Kind of big fans of that. BitGet, Crypto.com, and WooX. So they're all the exchanges that are available for all of our products on Mizar for US investors.
That's cool that you guys have Coinbase on there because almost everyone in the world has access to Coinbase. Not everybody, but almost everybody. But that's not regular Coinbase. It's Coinbase Advanced and Coinbase Pro. Did I hear that right?
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So it's Coinbase Pro and Coinbase Advanced.
That's cool. I think everyone can get Coinbase Pro, but I'm not positive on that. It's pretty much the same thing, just more settings, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a slightly more advanced version. I think they're turning it into. I think Coinbase Pro is basically becoming Coinbase Advanced.
Gotcha.
Their latest one.
All right, a couple questions on the right. You can, if you guys use a computer, on the top right hand corner, there's like a little chat button, and there's some questions on the right. One of them was, is this an API plugin usable in the USA, which I think we just answered, and can the bot enter and I override the exit on a trade by the trade criteria?
So yeah, let's just have a look at these.
You'll see it on the right over there.
Yeah. Scroll down. Yeah. So let's have a look. Okay, so it's an API plugin. So there's no custodial funds. It's the money all stays on your exchange. We don't ever see your account. We don't know how much is in there. It doesn't. There's none of that. Can the bot enter and
I think
I override the exit. Yeah, exactly that. So you can, once the bot takes an entry, each position will be listed individually on the platform that you're using, whether that's Mizar or 3 Commas, and then you can just cancel that. You can set the take profits. You can adjust
Funds
that.
if you want.
You can add funds to it if the position's going well and you want to put more money into it and let it ride. You've got complete control over that position once it's open.
Perfect. And Terry asked there, do you have any futures bots that can be used that are in the U.S.? I know KuCoin was an exchange on there. Do you have one that works with that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, hey Ragnar. Yeah, in rocking British, we're based in Nottingham, dude. So,
Oh, here they go. Here they go.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, clear it up. In terms of the futures bots, that's pretty interesting. I'll let Christian talk you through that.
So with futures bots, we learned a rough lesson around that one kind of thing, and one of the like I said earlier on, we have money, sizable capital in all of our products that we trade with, as all providers should, to be honest. But the futures one was an interesting story because it's something that is so desirable to trade, certainly within the automated trading world. But I'm going to start off with this, that using futures DCA bots has 100% risk of ruin.
I know this. This is how I got ruined, by the way.
Yeah, and this is why we don't do futures DCA bots. And if you notice, we haven't done futures DCA bots for around about 2 years. And because I looked at every conceivable backtest for a futures bot and DCA setup, and it ends up liquidating you unless you have quite a large amount of capital. And I can say it with a bit of a laugh now, but it cost me the better part of 30 grand. So
preaching to the choir there, brother. Preaching to the choir.
And it's so it's one of those things where if you're going to trade automation with DCA, have a very, very tight relationship with that provider and make sure that you do a lot of due diligence there. Personally, I wouldn't. And if you are going to do it yourself, then I'm not saying that you can't do it, but it's something that you actually should have a stop loss. Now, it gets insanely complex when you're trying to work out leveraged DCA buys. So it doesn't work in the conventional sense, as we all know how futures contracts work. And I guess this is a bit of scaremongering in a way, because like I said, I have had my hands. We both had our hands burnt we've all, in fact, actually around the table had our hands burnt quite badly from them. But with futures stuff, I would generally try to stick to high liquid based strategies, whether it's copy trading, whether it's using an existing strategy and trading yourself, something that you can monitor very closely and that doesn't get out of hand very quickly. So in that sense, whereas I'm not saying there aren't bots out there for futures, we don't actually have any. We have a trading strategy, which we advise to use. We have copy trading, so you can follow us in a futures sentiment. But yeah, we don't have any DCA products or like kind of high scalping products. Yeah. So again, not to get go too far down this rabbit hole, but automated scalpers for futures is a bad idea as well. Unless you're kind of using something with really fast execution like MT5, or you're literally sat inside the exchange server. The lag on it is terrible. The fees are terrible. And if you're using a third-party platform, as much as I love Annie, as much as I love Mizar, those fees are going to crush you on scalping. So you kind of end up with about 10% of your potential profit, but with all the downside around it as well. So just a few things to be wary of.
Yeah, it's difficult to trade any kind of very tight time frames when you're using these platforms.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, the way when you got to factor in there for you guys to understand, there's a fee that you pay for every trade, and even if you think you're in profit, the fee that you pay for that trade may be more than the profit that you made. And in order to not have a megaton of capital involved, you got to have very small trades. So if you do very small trades and your fees are high, you didn't make anything. As a matter of fact, you probably lost, and all that stress was for naught. You mentioned MT5 in there for a moment. Do you guys have, like I mentioned a ton of these, like I started in Forex. That's where I came from. Okay. I learned the hard way that whatever you thought you knew, you didn't, right? And you had to absolutely 100% lock in to know what you got to do. And if you don't, you're going to lose over and over and over again. And I think, I honestly, I wish everybody in crypto started in Forex so they knew what it was like to just always buy. It doesn't work in Forex. You know that right off the bat. I talked with you guys before about it, but you actually have something now that you're working for with prop firms and a trading bot that works through those, correct?
Yeah, so it's not actually a bot. What we It's quite a funny story, actually. So
Perfect.
we work with a company called Hydra. I can't remember the name of the influencer that they use. It's the American guy.
Cameron, something
Oh,
like that.
Cameron Foose. I don't know if you guys know him. He's like a big YouTuber, and
Okay.
he fronts up this company called Hydra. And so we had a meeting with him, and then we work with another company called My Forex Fund, right? And what we basically were really interested in was prop funds. So this idea, obviously, we've got provable strategies we can return. Really cool. I know, Hydra, hilarious name, right?
Actually dropped that on the call, didn't
Yeah.
you?
So we were thinking for our community, we want to basically say to people, look, don't try and get 30% a month, go for 5%, preserve your capital, trade smart. But if you don't have a huge balance, and you actually want to make a living out of this, then it's hard to, you want those high percentage wins. And the answer to that is obviously a prop fund where you
Mm-hmm.
can trade. If you've got that more money, you can trade more sensibly. You can have proper risk management, and you can turn this into an actual living. So we proposed to Hydra a situation where we would create a trading bot that would work on their prop fund. So it's done through MT5, but you have to trade on their own website, basically, like that's underpinned by MT5. And we ended up on this call with them, and we explained our plan, and they were just like, do whatever happens, that you cannot do that. And the reason is because the last thing that they want is 150, 200, 300 people all trading exactly the same signals on their prop fund at exactly the same time.
I
Because the
gotcha.
whole point of that prop fund is they want to diversify and spread the risk. So we kind of came away from the call a bit deflated, and we kind of went back to the drawing board, and we thought, well, what if we just created a strategy that we could give to people that works on TradingView, and basically gives them entry points. So different people would use it in different ways that suits them. So some people would trade different, some people might use it for Forex, some people might use it in gold, some people might use it in Bitcoin, some people might trade on the 1 minute, some people might trade on the 1 day, 1 week. So all these different people would be trading our signals, but in different ways. So we wouldn't have that concentration of signals, which would cause any problems to the prop funds. We developed the indicator for that. We went back and we showed the guys. We passed a couple of funded, the tests that they do using it,
Mm-hmm.
and they loved it. So we basically set up a system. We're working with them at the minute, so that the indicator is called the Satoshi. So like Satoshi, as in Bitcoin, but with an AU in the middle instead of the O to represent gold. Because what we found from the back testing was that Bitcoin and gold it's incredible on them. And so, I mean, we're retailing this at the minute. We've had it out for about, I think it's been retailing for maybe 2 months now. The results have been excellent. We've got a partner in the US who I think is, who again have passed funded accounts with it. And they're basically retailing it on that basis on our behalf. So we're having somebody's white labeling it. Christian, do you want to just run over your results? So Christian does most of the trading. So he'll just take you through the results that he's had on it since we launched.
Yeah, sure thing. So it's truly exciting, and one of the big exciting things about us releasing a strategy is because we've always kind of like with doing automated trading and always being so conscious of consumers and customers' funds and stuff like that. Even though we're not directly holding them, we are kind of somewhat responsible for the risk management and everything like that. So we have to be conservative. But the thing is, like, I'm sure you can testify to this, Keith, when you sometimes want to take the brakes off and kind of increase your risk a little bit. You know what you can do, you know what you're capable of, but kind of advising a big community to do that is definitely not responsible.
Oh yeah, that's one of my key things. I keep trying to tell everyone, I understand that people want to copy me, but please don't. I'm different than you, right? My money is not your money. You know what I mean? I don't want you to. I want you to understand the ideas. I don't want you to follow my dollars, right?
Yeah.
If, by the way, if you guys have pictures or whatever you want to show, or if you've got a graph or a chart or anything of gains or losses that you've got, if you click the little plus symbol in the subscriber chat, or you can copy paste, you can just copy pictures from Discord and then paste them into the member chat over here and share your pictures, and I can pull them up on the screen for everyone to see. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'll try and search for these pictures whilst I talk as well.
No worries.
So, like, what? Oh, thank you. Right. So one of the things behind this was exactly that reason. We kind of wanted to. One thing that really shone through during this bearish season was, did you know that we're trading at 7% of the trading volume on exchanges than we were at the end of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 15 times lower in regards to retail traders. I mean, and as you said before, a lot of that volume is going to be bots anyway. So the people that are left in crypto right now are the either the true degens, the hodlers, or the real traders. And so we had a lot of kind of real traders coming forth and wanting to talk about actual kind of real trading strategies. How do we get crazy returns? And our kind of retort has always been, risk management, be careful, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But we always wanted to like kind of be like, yeah, but what can we do, kind of thing? What could we do? And so we decided to put it to the test, and we pulled together the Satoshi pro trading strategy, which is what we use, what defines all of our strategies, defines our interests. We're incredibly statistical and mechanical traders back here. I remember you saying you're not very news-led at all.
Correct. I'm like you guys. I try to be a machine. I try not to look at anything except the chart and let the data prove it to me, because I've found that people just lie and data doesn't most of the time.
Yeah, like everything we're shrouded in. And the way this strategy was born was we tested 100, 200, 1,000 strategies, and that's no word of a lie, as well as being able to have like oversights into other people's strategies and auditing of other traders, testing it across hundreds of assets, loads of time frames, tens of thousands and millions of trades, because that's what you can do these days. And this was the best of the bunch. And the thing was, and I'm sure you can testify here as well, is that it's not just all about the end of month P&L. It's not about just getting the biggest P&L. There's this whole thing called psychology, and this whole thing of like that impact of like, let's say we've got a 1 to 5 risk reward, for instance, but you've got a fucking 15% win rate. That psychological impact on you is horrible. And there's not many people out there that can do that. So we try to attain somewhere in and around about the 60 to 70% win rate, around about a 1-to-1 risk reward. So you either win or you don't. And with that, it ended up kind of coming into this incredible indicator. So the pictures that I've just shared to you now is, whilst I've been doing a lot of development on the side, so I haven't been trading as I usually trade, like 9 till 5 kind of thing. But this is what this generated. So it started off on the, I got the calendar one.
It looks like April 22nd. April 19th. April 19th.
April 19th is when we first started this. So I think I did the tracking on it. It was around about 56 days when I started it, an actual 17 days trading it. There's been no more than 3 days per week traded. I think the average amount of trades per day per trading session was around about 3 or 4 kind of thing. And it actually, I started with $100 account just so I can, test, so I can showcase it. I did quite a few videos on it as well of how it was going. And I just wanted to, it's the first time I really tracked a strategy. And in fact, actually, this is a really nice Excel trading journal. You can, I'll send it to you, or you can get it off our Discord. It cost a bit of money, but I thought I'd share it for free because it just looks real nice. And we ended up, like, all the back testing it got us around about 66% across Bitcoin and gold. And that was done over the course of a year, like 10,000 trades or whatever. But then this one, if you click on one of the top slides that I shared, you've got, the second one down.
Okay.
You've got a 76% win rate.
Yep, right here.
A 1-to-1 risk reward. We managed to attain 120% profit on total allocation into that in about 56 days, or I should say 17 actual trading days.
Okay, so hold on. I see here that there's 29 wins, 9 losses. Average win was $8. Average loss was 10. As you see, the wins far outweighed, almost 3-to-1 the losses. Well, actually 3-to-1 wins the losses, which is awesome. Anyone who got 3-to-1 wins the losses, you're a hero. All right, and you're doing great. Let me drop my camera out right here. I see where you've got the total gross 136, total net 120. It looks like there was $17 worth of fees. And this was from a 100. So I'm assuming here you took $100 and turned it into 236. Is that what I get?
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So you made 136% profits over how many days? 56.
Yeah, 120%. Because we need to take the fees off
right.
of $17. Now I do actually want to mention that big time because when you're scalping, and this is on Bitcoin, so this is exclusively trading on Bitcoin, and at the moment MEXC has 0.01%. Taker fee. That's taker fee. That's insane. And then they've got 0% maker fee at the moment, which means that honestly, scalping, like, you can pretty much double your scalping returns at the moment. Like, that's no word of a lie. So MEXC for me, like, it's not the most revered exchange. I'm not here to be an exchange kind of
we're not advocating
auditor in any way, shape, or form.
We're just saying the fees are good.
So yeah, so only put
Yeah.
on there what money you want to trade with. But yeah, so we did all of this on MEXC with Bitcoin using the indicator on the 3-minute time frame. And like I said, I was very passively trading this, to be honest. Like one of our users, a guy called Vakik, he actually forexed his account in around about 28 days. So I didn't believe him at first, and he sent me all the details. And I was like, "What are you doing? Are you doing something crazy?" He's like, "No, just trading it normally." And I was like, "Fuck, a bit jealous, to be honest."
Right. So essentially, the way to break it all down for everyone real quick, this is a 3-minute time frame. This indicator spits out a buy or I guess a long or a short, however you want to do it, right? And then they're taking trades. They're not massive trades for everyone who's listening. They're not. You can look at them and see that they're very small trades. $1, $2, $1, $2. They're not 30,000, 40,000. Please, people, understand that is not how it works. Degenerates lose. Okay, so if you do that, you are destroying the liquidity on the exchange. There won't be enough orders for you to buy, and there won't be enough orders for you to sell when the time comes.
Now, interesting you should mention that, actually. So this is one of the reasons why we optimize this entire indicator around gold and also Bitcoin, is pretty much for that liquidity reason. Because we always want to make sure, no matter where you are in the world when you're using it, that you're always going to be in a position whether you can have access to crypto or not. But also, when you're scalping these kind of timeframes, the last thing you want against you, on top of the fees, on top of the lag, is the further slippage of liquidity and stuff like that. So the more of a ninja you can be with limit ins and limit outs, the more profit more free money you're gonna get. Let's face it, at the end of the day, if you're using limit orders in and out, it's free money. So I just sent you a screenshot actually of kind of a very quick snapshot of the indicator. And one of the things that we wanted to be really specific about this was the conviction of what the signals are and what they do, and not to have a massive load of clutter on your chart. Because without naming any names or anything like that at all, but we see a lot of like kind of indicator providers where they'll provide you with, these Bollinger Bands that are on the weekly based on like kind of an RSI, and then they'll call it something brand new, like kind of Liquidity Hunter or something like that.
Yeah, I get you.
And it's totally fine, people find it, but the question that I always ask myself when I look at my chart is, does it actually help me? Like, does it actually have any purpose? Or did I see it on a YouTube video and it looks cool? Or did I read it somewhere and it's just like, I should probably have that? And everything that we put into this indicator, and there's only support and resistance, there's buys, it does the full trade setup for you as well. It has weekly pivots, and it has the daily moving averages. And they all have very specific reasons as to why they're there, because as we know, with moving averages, EMAs, dailies are the most popular, and the 20, 50, and 200 are the most popular. So we know that, that whole psychological effect when price approaches these, that it might actually act as support and resistance, as opposed to kind of using the 7, 8 on the 14-minute time frame and kind of convincing myself that that's support and resistance.
Right.
But yes, sorry to go off on a tangent. But
no, this is good. This is good. This is the stuff that I like. I like data.
Oh, good. Well, I literally never shut up. So Nick does actually need to cut me off at some point.
Please keep going. Please keep going. This is what I do. I need data. I can't do anything without data. Again, people are inconsistent, but data never. It can't lie. It can't misconstrue. It's just data, which is great.
So, I mean, the logic of this is like one of the big things that you'll see, the pitfalls of a lot of strategies out there. And again, I apologize to keep on saying this, but I'm sure you can testify to this because I know you've been in the space for a long time and I know that you've seen it before. But you'll see a lot of these strategies where they'll be amazing in uptrends, they'll be amazing in downtrends, and then they end up losing 200% of your balance in consolidation. Or
Agreed.
Agreed.
Or they're the complete opposite. They're good at consolidation, and either the big ups and big downs they can't handle.
It's when you start that kind of dreaded grid bot in consolidation, and then the SEC sues Binance. But so with this one, this is actually all weather. So it's built for kind of the whole logic of this is you'll want to be on the positive side of the inertia. So we're not looking to try and get a 90% win rate here. We're not looking to try and get a 5-to-1. We're looking to try and get a 60 to 70% win rate on a 1-to-1, because over time that will make you lots of money. And that's just how it works. It just works on a long followed by short, followed by long, followed by short. And if you go win, loss, win, loss, win, 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 loss, win, loss, win, win, by the end of it, when you're working on the 3-minute time frame, you end up with a shitload of money.
So the slide that you've got here, this is showing essentially local highs and local lows, and it shows that the chart kind of swept them. And you have what appears to be a long and short position tool that has popped up. That automatically pops up for you. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's a point and click indicator. So the way it works is you'll see at the top you've got little bear icons, and at the bottom you've got little bull icons.
Okay, there's a tiny little speck up here, but that's a bear, and I guess this is a bull down here. It's a cow.
Yeah, it's a cow. I mean, I'm only limited by the emoji world.
Fair.
So the way it
Okay.
works is you get that signal that pops up on the chart, then the basically the bar chart there, the red line and the green line, that's showing you the take profit and the stop loss to enter, and that appears on the chart.
I got you.
Get that bear or bull signal. So we're telling you exactly when to enter, and we tell you what the take profit is and what the stop loss is, and they're just based. If you look, you can see the levels that those are based on. We're just going on a swing low and a swing high. Just
right.
So basically, you can move those if you want. You can kind of manually adjust them. I think the other interesting thing about this is just to touch on something that we've really kind of brought into our trading in the last 6 months is basically all our trade positions are based on risk. So you'll notice that all these positions on the slide have different take profits and different stop losses. What we do is, we can kind of teach you a method for doing this, is ensure that no matter how big the take profit is or how big the stop loss is, you always risk or are rewarded with the same percentage increase or the same percentage loss. So basically, we adjust the amount that we invest in the trade depending on how big we need the stop loss to be. So that worst case scenario, if we do lose the trade, we know exactly percentage terms how much we're going to lose.
Right.
And what that does is that gives you complete uniformity. So one trade might have $100 in it, and the next trade might have $10 in it, but you're always only going to lose 0.5% of your total balance. So
Gotcha.
we adjust our invested amount to make sure that we're not overexposed. That we're just because we've got a big take profit, we don't want to take a big risk on it. We're just going to bring our investment amount down in that position.
So what I deduct by looking at it without knowing any of the technicals, what I see is whenever you have a structure break, which looks like happened here, this thing broke the low and created a new low. You set your stop above the previous swing high. That way, in case it got crazy, it kicked you out. And you took the short down to a set percent, and you took profit. Then you no longer can take another short until you take a long. And it looks like this thing broke structure again, north this time. You took a long, rode it up, got profits, looked for a short here, and this one failed. It looks like it just clipped the top of this local little tiny high here, and it looks like it kicked it. And then it waited for another long because it didn't have a chance, and it took a long here. That same stop loss was below the swing low. We talk about this a lot in our Discord, is the reason I'm talking about this. To show you other people are seeing the exact same thing we're seeing, folks. So this swing low here never got hit. It only came down to about here. And then from there went up, hit take profits, and all the rest of that was left as whatever because it took its profits here, which was cool. I see what it's doing. It's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat setup.
Yeah. So it's really simple. I think the logic behind it, I think, is relatively complicated. We're not going to tell you exactly what's triggering those buys or sells, but you get it. It just you just load it onto your trading view and it appears exactly like that. So you can just sit there and it'll just print these positions on the chart for you. You just enter the levels that it shows you into whichever platform you're trading on, and you will get a positive win rate with a 1-to-1 risk reward.
So now I guess the real kicker here is this is just popping you up and giving you a signal. It doesn't actually trade for you. You have to go to the exchange that you would like and trade that. So whether that be gold, US dollar versus Canadian dollar, or Bitcoin, doesn't matter. The strategy only works on TradingView, and then you're going and actually hitting the buttons on your own.
Yeah, and again, we can show you how to do this. So we'll send a link over to our website, which has got all the kind of information on.
Perfect.
So you can use, because of TradingView, the way TradingView is set up, you can use the alert function on TradingView and webhooks to trigger trades using a bot on either Mizar or 3Commas.
That's what I did for the video for Build Your Own Bot on Mizar.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So I mean, you could, if you have access to this indicator, you can build your own bot. You can then, if you want, you could put a DCA structure around these so that you don't have the stop losses on there, or you can just set it up, have the stop losses, manage the trades manually, however you want to do. It's a really cool system like that, because it lets the user set it up how they want. And there are a couple of issues with setting up the alerts on TradingView. The main one being that you need a pro account on TradingView because you get limited in the number of alerts. But yeah, I'm sure if I'm sure you could kind of take anybody in the community who's interested. But what we're going to say is, by the way, as well, we'll give anybody in your community that wants to get access to this, we'll give everybody a 3-month trial on it. I think we said if you just kind of email or drop a message to Keith with your TradingView username, we'll just add it straight to your account, and we'll give Keith all the information for where the guides and the videos and tutorials are, etc. So you can just kind of go there and also just pop into our Discord and ask us if you've got any questions on it. And yeah, if you want to kind of teach people how to set up bots and stuff, we're really cool with that. I think it's a great thing for people to take that into their own hands and start learning how to do these things.
I would agree. Many people. So one of the things, a common thing is, Keith, where's your signals? I don't have any, and I do that on purpose, right? I want you to do it on your own. I want to teach you how to do that on your own, right? But constantly, I get asked, where are the signals? Well, here you guys go. It's an indicator that pops the signal up for you, right? Which is pretty awesome. And it's an intricate indicator. It's not just one thing. It's multiple things all stacked together, and it does it for you. That screen, the last picture you shared, this is a picture of the alerts on the right of TradingView that you've seen me do before, fellas. Is I'll show you how to set an alert, and it pops up on the right, and it gives you a little red bell. And this shows you what the alert looks like. Is this a Telegram picture here? On the left, or that's on TradingView. That's what it looks like on TradingView when the alert pops up.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can put a custom message in there, so you can basically put any information in that you want. So when you're sat there, you can be playing video games, have your TradingView set up. The alert comes through. It's going to tell you which charts to go to, and it tells you exactly the parameters. Or you can use that alert, use a webhook, send that over to 3commas, to Mizar, and that can trigger a bot buy for you so that you can trade completely passively.
Which is really neat. That alert, what he's saying there, if you don't want to go push the buttons by yourself, you can create a webhook on an alert that will automatically do it for you through Mizar, which is pretty neat. And then you're never pushing buttons at all, which is exactly what you guys were asking for. So, it's really neat. Like he said, if you guys will, just message me if you're interested, and I'll take your information and send it to them, and then we'll get it all fixed up and whatnot. They also have a Discord. It's called Block Party Trading. I don't think it's charged just to get in there, is it?
No, it's
okay.
Free. It's all free.
Perfect. Because I jumped in there earlier and just was looking around, and I had seen some of the screenshots that you shared there, which was something I was going to ask about, but I'd seen you guys had already did it. Yeah, but Block Party Trading is the Discord. And Terry just asked a question: is there a big lag if you use the webhook? And if so, what is the lag?
So dependent on what you deem as a big lag, then yes and no, to be honest. So say if you're using it on like the higher time frames for swing trading, then not really noticeable.
Okay.
But this is one of the reasons why I generally don't automate my scalps. Like I'll automate the swing trades and DCA trades 100%. But when I'm scalping on the 3-minute, I will pretty much always do that manually.
Gotcha.
It doesn't matter too much. So one of the reasons is it will say if it tells you to buy at $20,000 on the nose, then you can ask whether Mizar or Annie or wherever put in a limit buy. And so it's kind of a bit irrelevant because it will buy at that price. If you go into, I would never advise doing a market buy because then you can get screwed quite hard. So avoid market buys, but then what will happen if the price is moving quite fast, then it will probably shoot past and it'll probably go to take profit before it goes to your entry. So you'll need to make sure that whatever platform you're using, like Annie or Mizar, do have a logic in place that will cancel the trade once it hits that kind of take profit, because then you're in a position, it goes to take profit, comes back down, goes to stop loss, which I know Annie does have that logic in place. I think Mizar does as well. So just a few things to be mindful of. But yeah, lag will hurt you a little bit when scalping anything below about 5 minutes for automation with market orders.
What's the highest time frame you would recommend using the scalp strategy on?
Probably 6 hours, my favorite. One day. So are you talking about how...
With that indicator you just shared that automatically pops up the setups for you, what's the highest level that you would recommend? Highest time frame level that you would recommend?
probably 6 hours our favorite.
Yeah.
That had overall for all the back testing, we did quite a lot of assets. Nick did all the trading back testing for that.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So real quick, you could take a 4-hour setup
Yeah,
with this strategy, and it would work fairly well, and the lag would be fair.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, if you're trading anything really over 5 minutes, then the lag's going to be negligible.
Cool.
Scalping on 5 minute. We know guys who want to scalp on the 30-second. And it's just like we can't do that. That lag's.
I got you. That's fine. So a couple questions. One guy says, would be good if you have a link for a setup. Do you have like a instructional video of how to do this already?
I'm just sending. Do you mind if I share our
Sure.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Our Discord invite in the chat.
Absolutely. Knock yourself out.
Okay. Well, there's our invite to that, and then also here's the entire kind of guide to the thingy, the indicator strategy even.
So you have it in text form, yeah?
We've got a video tutorial.
Cool.
And also just everything in wiki format on the website.
Perfect.
Including there's quite a lot of funded account information there. Like what was my setup when I passed the first funded account challenge. So I've got that in there. We've got the back testing data in there. We have the video in there. We have the actual strategy on how we advise to trade with it, as well as obviously the tutorial of what everything does. But yeah, we're just going to bulk this out more and more. But the thing with these strategies, and I love what you're saying, Keith, there about teaching people to trade and take kind of ownership of their own destiny. And we very much want the same kind of thing with this indicator, to be honest, because an indicator is just that. It indicates what might happen. It's not a guarantee. And the better you get at trading, the more profit you will make, because you'll be able to hold positions longer. You'll be able to know when to move the stop losses up.
You'll have the confidence to do so.
Exactly. And when you do hear certain kind of, or when you do see significant kind of moves or macro moves, then you're probably less inclined to take positions in the opposing direction or whatever. But yeah, so it's every little bit you can learn will always help, because it's amazing how much you'll implement this kind of stuff subconsciously. And it's not all about just kind of like charting up and drawing those specific trend lines on there for whatever reason. The amount that you trade with subconsciously is insane. And you just know when to take a trade and when not to take a trade.
Right. So real quick, Terry says, what exchange charts are used to trigger the alerts? Which ones are they using, or is it selective?
No, so the indicator will work on any exchange that you use on TradingView. So you basically select the chart on the exchange that you want, or brokerage if you're doing Forex or gold. So it's a completely universal indicator. So whatever you use on TradingView, it'll work with that.
So like for an example, everyone, if you're trading on MXC but you wanted to use the Binance USD Bitcoin chart, so you would set the alert for the Bitcoin USD chart for Binance, and it would send a signal to trade on MXC. But understand, please, that there may be a slight difference in price if you do that. So you may want to use the exchange's chart that you're using with your actual trades. That way there's not as much slippage. TradingView has a little bit of a delay, but not much. Understand that there is arbitrage between exchanges. This is how SBF made all his money. Okay. That went away because the big arbitrage went away eventually, but there is still some. So yeah. Don asks, he just joined, is this like my Azar API driven? Absolutely it is. It's already answered up top. I got this whole thing recording, so I'll post it up afterwards. So like he said, there's links over here. If you guys want to check it out, just message me on Discord in the DMs there. I'll look through them. If you're a scammer, I won't message you, but likely you're not going to be a scammer, and I'll know. And I'll get the information sent over. You guys have pricing and stuff in your Discord, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And like he said, there'll be a bit of a special here for anyone that they get information for, and I have direct link to them, so I can send it over to them. Other than that, do you guys got anything else? I mean, this has been really cool and informative, and I particularly like the Forex end. I've been looking at setting up Forex stuff already because that's where I came from. I want to kind of honestly, the Forex bots that I've found suck, and they don't work like they say they do. They just don't. I've already passed a prop firm challenge, and I turned the money down because I didn't want to trade with anybody else's money. So I thought about doing another one, and seeing how far I could take it as an experiment. And you guys have a link for the prop firms you recommend?
Yeah, so all on the link that we sent earlier. We'll just drop one in
Perfect.
now. Yeah, but yeah, it's been a pleasure. Obviously, Keith, we'll stay in touch. I like Ragnar's idea there that you could do our tutorials for us. I think that's a good idea because your videos are brilliant.
Well, thank you.
We're massive fans of you. Have been for a long time. Obviously, we've been talking for about 2 years, I think, on and off. So,
well, you guys may not know this, and I know a lot of people don't know this. I found you guys by accident. Okay. I was honestly, I used to do air conditioning work, and I'm on a roof working with a coworker, and he says, "Hey, check out what I've got." I'm like, "What is that?" He says, "Well, it's these bots. They trade for you. It's what you talk about all the time, right?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, let me see." And it was this. It was you guys' early website.
Oh, awesome.
Back when it was just on 3 commas. And that was when you guys had the future set up. And that's the one I wicked way up. Yeah. And a lot of us lost money on that. But it was my own doing. I didn't blame. Like I told them, you guys did this. Yeah. You can't blame anybody.
Yeah, the thing is though, we did take a lesson from that, and like Christian said, we went back to the drawing board with it. Obviously, we were liquidated as well with that, and so when we really looked into it, and we were like, can we make this work? And the answer is probably not, right? So
safely,
we're not going to offer any product that we don't use ourselves, and we weren't going to use that product anymore, so we just discontinued it.
This is exactly why I wanted these guys in here, y'all, because it's kind of no nonsense, no bullshit, which I appreciate. There's not a lot of discords that are going to be no bullshit to you. And I appreciate when people come on here and they're no bullshit. It's super important. They could have came on here and sold you guys some futures bullshit and it would have been bad. Okay. But they didn't. So take that into account whenever you're doing this. And if you decide to buy it, if you don't want to buy it, that's fine. I'm going to do it because I want to watch and I want to do it. Right. I kind of want to document all this and do a whole thing on it. Right. And most of you guys have asked me, well, how much can you make? How much can you do? Well, let's find out. Yeah. Let's find out. I showed you their results, which was, they managed to turn 100 into 230, doing the signals that they saw on their indicator that popped up. And that was with $100, y'all. That wasn't even fully automated. That's him actually sitting down doing it. And he said so himself. He didn't go hardcore. Right. So, I think there's opportunity here. Yeah. That's why I wanted to bring it to you guys. Like Terry said, I'll be starting one in November here. He's going to start one up. I like the way all this goes. This is cool to me. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
It's been brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate it.
And some awesome questions as well. So amazing to have such an engaging community.
Listen, these people make this thing happen. I can't explain it. It's not me. It's them. People can say it started with me, and that's kind of true and kind of not, because if it wouldn't be for these folks, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So the community is we know what? We might not be the smartest bunch, and I never say I am the smartest person in the pile. But dude, you cannot argue with the brain power. There's so many people in here with big brains. You cannot argue with it. So I got this whole thing recorded, okay? I'll send you guys a copy of it too, so you can have it for your own records and go through it and do whatever you'd like to. Thank you guys for coming. I super appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Keith.
All right, you guys have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.